you have to have that light on there?
One of the great things about this film, I would say, is the production design, and it's a really interesting process.
The stages are like a character of their own.
I don't pay attention to the sets. I think they're nasty, and they're disgusting, and they make me feel uneasy. It's really uncomfortable. It's really unsettling. You can't even begin to imagine.
They're really just dirty and old.
David Hackle, our production designer, I believe did an amazing job on this film. Even on the first Saw, we had no money, and we had no money on this film as well, although a little bit more than on the first. And David just really came through.
David Hackle, one of the best production designers I've ever worked with. He does so much of the thinking before I even talk to him. He's already thought it out. Where would camera go? Where would the lighting go? How would the color palette work with what we're designing to do? And I worked very close with David. He really made my job easy.
Saw 2 had a lot of challenges in their production design. We shot it completely in one studio, shoehorning our sets into this very large studio, but by the time you put 27 sets in here, it's not that big. In many cases, the back of one set becomes the front of another. And we literally had 3 weeks to build all of the sets. I think we have 27 sets in this one studio that all had to be ready by day one. To make that all happen, we had to pool our resources as much as we could, in the sense that we had to call on other film companies to find out what they were tearing down, so that we could take flats, set elements that were already dressed down, in many cases some that already had wallpaper on them, so that we could save time on our scenic treatment on the walls. Even if we had all the money in the world, in 3 weeks, we probably couldn't have built that many flats.
The house itself is extremely disgusting.
It's 100 years old in here.
It's just so creepy. I'm looking at the sets and I'm just amazed. Things are falling apart beside you. You got these props that are dangerous. You just don't want to touch anything.
Down, action.
It helps you out so much.
What do we do? Hey, Darren, there's Darren Bousman. There's Darren Bousman, our director. Darren. Hey?
David Hackle, look at these great fucking sets.
Yeah, I'll clean them up. I'll try to renovate a little bit. No, a little coat of paint on it, it's gonna look great, just like new.
Someone ripped that picture over there. We might want to go fix that.
You know, maybe when you get paid, you can buy a nicer house, Darren.
Yeah.
I think this place I got you staying in kind of sucks.
When I begin production design on any movie, I begin with research. Darren and I work very closely together right from the beginning.
We started talking, and it was like we opened Pandora's box. Like every morning, he'd come into his office, and for hours we'd just sit there and we'd reference pictures.
The house that our people are running around in has a sense of a life that was once lived in the house, a history that would probably be from the 1930s, 1920s even. And yet at the same time, bring it into the contemporary realm where there was this feeling of it being a former crack house.
I want you to be disgusted by everything. I don't want you to touch anything. The second you leave this house, you would want to go take a shower. And that's one thing the first Saw had. That bathroom was just so disgusting, and I was like, I want to do that times 1,000. So he goes, oh, give me a night, give me a night. He goes home, and the next day he came back with like books, stacks of books on crack houses, worn down houses.
Come on upstairs. All right. Robert Polidori, he's actually a Canadian photographer from Montreal. He just was recently in Toronto with a photo exhibit of his photos that he shot around Chernobyl and all around the nuclear sites. And a lot of what he has in his photographs are reference to the history of a place, and he witnesses the life once lived, and that's what his photographs are really about. So it just fit perfectly for what we were trying to do in our sets, recreate a sense of history.
The hallways. I want the hallways to be brown, disgusting wallpaper, and I want the plaster to be wiping off it. And the next day he came in, he's like this. And it was amazing because everything I was telling him, like 1 minute later, he would come up with a drawing of it.
Our scenic artists did a fantastic job all the way through this house. They started by putting a base coat
As you can see in here, there's a base coat of what would have been many years of painting and overpainting. You get the feeling that if there was wallpaper at one time, the wallpaper would have aged and the paste would have turned into this really mucky yellow color. Here, I mean, this is just something that you feel like you wouldn't want to touch, although you can. The needle room. Can you see in here? Don't fall down there. Here's some of the paintings that we found in bunkers in Berlin. And they were actually painted in air raid bunkers underneath Berlin during the Nazi regime.
You hear that? It's wood, plaster. It's not a fortress.
Jigsaw has come in and tried to board up the house in a way that these people could not escape.
No, no, no!
They might be able to get through the lath and plaster, but eventually they would just reach the brick wall. The scenic artist did a great job recreating the look of steel on what is otherwise chunks of wood with welds and adding a silver tone to it. Our carpenters and scenic artists put together beautiful panels that allow light to come in through the cracks, as well as look like they're pieced together out of pieces of scrap metal that were found all around the Wilson steel plant by Jigsaw and then welded together.
No, it's okay.
And this is the dark chamber. This is where we see our first murder in the movie. We wanted it to feel like it's very subterranean, deep down in sewer tunnels. No one's been in here for many years.